On. Good morning, everyone. Good Sunday morning, good afternoon, and hello to all the ships at sea. It's Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light, and I'm here with the lovely Bex Marie, the wonderful and wise Teresa Warren, and myself, Rhonda Elliott. And we're here every Sunday morning at 12 noon Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific, and somewhere in between in the rest of the places. So we'd love you to come and join us. Please share this out. And the most shares today win a session with Teresa. So please, no, Bex Marie.
No, Bex,
Bex
yes.
Marie.
Yep.
With Bex, I'm sorry. With Bex. So please share this out, heart it up, share it out to your friends. We'd love you to get this message out, because it's a really good message today and something important we like to discuss, because we like to discuss spiritual things and topics that everyone throw around and sort of delve deep into them and bring them out and dissect them and kind of put them into everyday language, because, you know, this is sort of like a spirituality for dummies kind of course, but not for dummies. It's just like we bring it down to the small parts so everyone can understand it and all the jargon that's always flowing around. So, Teresa, will you please introduce our lovely Chrysta to everyone?
Yes, look who we got today. We've got Chrysta Higgenbotham. Have you watched her yesterday? Are you writing down your synchronicities in the journals, you know, so you could tell her about it?
That was going to happen.
Oh,
Teresa's got a storm going on.
We lost her.
And we lost her.
Yes.
Oh. So, Chrysta, I guess you're going to have to introduce yourself. Your show is on Saturday mornings is it at 12 p.m. Eastern?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and we love Chrysta because she has her little bowl. So I forgot to do this. So I'll do this for you. You can bring it in. Okay.
There you go.
And Chrysta, we want to know all about you and your journey.
Yeah, hi, thank you so much for having me.
So
I'm
excited.
so honored to be here today. I've been watching you guys since you launched, so I love the Spirit Sessions ladies, and I'm just so excited to be here. My name is Chrysta Higgenbotham, aka Synchronista, which is my show here on the Academy where we talk about synchronicities and where science and spirit collide, where science corroborates the spiritual nature of our reality, and I love delving into those aspects and finding the scientific stuff that proves what we previously deemed as supernatural. So that's what I do on the Akashic Academy. I'm also a Reiki Master, a pain catalyst consultant, and a life coach. And so what I do in those aspects is I help people locate the catalyst for the manifestation of their emotional and their physical pain. And I walk them through a process using multiple modalities so that they can heal and clear this density that's manifesting on a physical level in their body. And it's something I'm passionate about, of course, because it's a process I went through on myself for my own healing journey. And I was able to come to a place where I don't live in chronic pain or fatigue or anxiety anymore. And so I help people go through that similar process. So, yeah, a little backstory about me. I was, considered myself like a spiritual person from a pretty young age because I had a lot of beautiful spiritual experiences in the Christian church. I'm down here in the Bible Belt in Texas, so. However, I did have like a lot of scary nightmares and stuff that I dealt with that I didn't know how to process at a young age. So I kind of had a lot of emotional ties and emotional density just coming into this life, right? Well, about 12 years ago now, when I was 19, I was diagnosed with endometriosis, interstitial cystitis, and panic anxiety disorder. So those of you who aren't familiar with endometriosis, it's a really, really painful reproductive disease that causes chronic pain, fatigue, and as a result of that, a slew of other symptoms. So at that time, I underwent surgery. I started going through hormone therapy. They upped the doses of medicine and anti-anxiety pills that I was already on because I was already dealing with this emotional issues as I came into a teenager. So I was on this path through the doctors, through the doctors and what modern medicine is teaching us to be true and to heal us, but I had so many terrible side effects. It wasn't actually relieving my original symptoms of my diagnosis. And not to mention, I was obtaining a bunch of residual symptoms from being on pharmaceutical medicine. Then in 2011, my dad passed away, which put me in somewhat of a spiritual crisis, as I would call it. I think a lot of us can relate to losing a loved one and asking God why, right? So my spiritual faith was in question at that time. My faith in, in the nature of the medicine I was taking in life and death and reality was all in question at that time. So I started undergoing this really intense dark night of the soul from 2011 on, where I really kind of delved even more into depression, anxiety, and as a result of that, physical manifestation of pain and fatigue. So in 2017, I turned 30 years old, which is funny because I recently found out that every 30 years is actually a solar return, so it's like a rebirth. You're back to the same position you were in on the earth when you were born. I'm not knowing this at the time, right? I'm feeling this newness within my soul. I go back to the doctor and I say, hey, my symptoms are getting massively worse. What other avenues? Is there any holistic approaches I could take? Is there anything else I could do to fix this? Because things are just kind of spiraling out of control. To which she responds, okay, well, we're just going to up your dosage. We might have to put you under some more hormones. Yeah. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're going to up the amount of medicine that I'm on that makes me, groggy and makes me not feel well and makes me feel like I can't concentrate on being a good mom and all these other things that were catalyzing me to want to change. And so she said, Chrysta, people with endometriosis have to be on this for the rest of their life. People with chronic pain as a result of this will have anxiety and depression for the rest of their life. So you're going to have to be on this for the rest of your life. And something, literally, my whole body just kind of vibrated from the inside out. It just, like a bell, like not resonating. And my eyes kind of glazed over and I looked at her and I was like, no, you're not speaking that over me anymore. That's not my story anymore. So I kind of went through a massive rebellion, which I wouldn't recommend everybody go cold turkey on getting off their pharmaceuticals or anything like that, but whatever sparked within me gave me the strength to do that. So cold turkey, got off of everything. I started going down the path of the holistic approach. I went on the elimination diet to see what foods were triggering this hormonal responses in my body, right? Because we all know there's hormones in some of the food that we eat, especially meat. Right. I started working with essential oils because they pass the blood-brain barrier, right? And I was utilizing those for anxiety relief and for calm, as well as, pain management and upping my immune system because endo is an immune response.
Right.
So as well as that, I revamped my vitamin game. I really got into the minerals, the micronutrients, the macronutrients that we aren't exposed to via the average American diet, right?
Right.
So I was doing all these physical things and I was seeing some progress, and then I started really feeling all of this beautiful energy coming back into my field because I was having these dreams reoccurring, right? And the spiritual nature of reality was awakening within me again because it had been suppressed by this medicine. So I started looking into Reiki and the hands-on healing, which I thought was beautiful. It's so similar to the healing of Jesus Christ and the faith of that, which is familiar to me and what I was raised in. And I started doing Reiki on myself in the evenings, every night, focusing specifically on my reproductive system, my lymph system, my immune function, the way that my brain neurons were firing with fight or flight. And I started noticing, again, slow and steady, gradual diminishing of these symptoms. Wasn't having anxiety attacks and stuff anymore. Obviously, this led down the path of meditation and stuff as well, which got me into doing inner child work. So once I started getting into the inner child work and going into the regressive nature of that and addressing certain aspects of my life that I realized were traumatic events that were triggering these panic attacks within me. So I'm trying to hit it from both angles. I was trying to hit the physical pain, but the emotional pain as well. So I started realizing that a lot of these triggers and stuff were catalyzed by these events that I hadn't addressed, these traumatic events in my past that I hadn't addressed and that I hadn't healed fully. And that when you hold on to an energy or a density, it just recirculates in your body, and it kind of snowball effects, which is what I was physically experiencing. So it wasn't really, my symptoms didn't really totally disappear until I went through the process of forgiveness. I had to go back. I had to forgive not only myself, but I had to forgive my stepfather, the perpetrator of my boundaries, for molesting me when I was 15. It really came to the realization that these traumatic events I had held on to and not shared, and even told myself I attracted via the law of attraction, or deserved, or did something in a past life to deserve it, or even deserved it because I didn't tattletale immediately, right? All of these things that as a victim you take on ownership of for somebody else's actions. So I not only had to forgive him for his actions so that I could release myself from the energetic core that I still had of pain there. I came to the realization that forgiving this person isn't indemnifying them or excusing their behavior. What it's doing is it's freeing me from the resentment and the anger.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I realized that the manifestation of this in my reproductive system was because I was holding on to that. Like Buddha says, holding a coal against your heart or against your chest with the intention of throwing it at somebody else. You're burning yourself.
Right.
So I was able to release this massive energetic density within my body. Not only the process of forgiving him, releasing the karma from myself in association with that, but also forgiving myself, right? And looking at myself as, okay, you didn't do anything to attract this. You may have signed up for it to heal it, but you know what I'm saying? You didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
And looking at somebody else from the perspective of, we're all God's children, right? And we're all from Creator's source, from this ultimate loving energy. So if we look at ourselves from that perspective, we can have sympathy and compassion for a baby that doesn't know how to communicate their feelings, or doesn't know how to rationalize their feelings, or even throws a fit or acts out in anger. And you can look at somebody that's hurt you in that same way. A child who's hurt, who doesn't know how to deal with that hurt. And unfortunately, because they didn't deal with that hurt, the way that comes out is in an unhealthy pattern that could potentially hurt another child. So what we're called to do, and what I felt was, just this massive awakening for me, was hurt children are hurting children are hurting children. So we have to break this cycle. So it's been such an amazing thing for me, because I don't have these physical ailments anymore. I don't have these emotional ailments anymore. But on top of that, I can look at my children and say, I cut this karmic cord. Like, I'm not going to bring this into their reality because it's no longer in mine.
Beautiful.
And so that, long story short, that's my healing journey. I'm so passionate about people because I saw it manifest on a physical level in my life. And I know that we all have this power within ourselves too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
There's so many people out there that have had a similar story. I think the statistic is 1 in 3 women or children or people. 1 in 3 women. I'm not sure what it is, the statistic for males, because there is abuse and things that happen, and we carry it around. And people say, like, how do you know you carry it in your body as an emotion? Well, if you've ever had a bruise on your arm, I remember being told this. Touch, and you go, how did I get that bruise? And you touch it, and then you go, oh yeah, now I remember. And that's sort of like these events in our lives are like a bruise, and it's stuck in our mind, and it's like you said, the triggers, and all of a sudden it comes full back to us, and it's stuck there until we release it or heal it in a way. Like the phrase "die of a broken heart" is a phrase that's apt, and people do have that, and we store these traumas in our bodies until we release them one way or another. And different people, it hangs on to different people different ways. Some people can sail through it. Other people have that anchor chain that pulls them back to the situation, And that's why it's really hard to forgive if you come from a place that you're letting that person get away with it. But that's not it. You're forgiving that situation because, like you said, it's so you're freed from it. You know, you're freed from that situation, and it's a big deal. So what do you do in your practice to help people? What do you do with a client? So give me a little description.
So, separate from doing Reiki and focusing on the energetic components in that regard with the chakra system and following the energy that way, I offer what I call regressive inner child healing. And so I work with my client on what triggers they have emotionally that have come up for them recently. And I walk them through a meditative process of going back to that event and healing it from a safe perspective, from the perspective of not being victimized, and empowering the younger version of yourself, offering them the ability to walk away from said perpetrator. And, through that process, it requires a lot of interaction, right, from my clients as well. I can say, hey, I'm seeing this, but it really requires them diving into what their triggers are. Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll think, oh, well, it was this time I got in the car accident. You know what I'm saying? And then when you sink into your heart space, what your higher self brings in is a totally different event. It may have been something that you thought was minimal or in comparison to this other event, but that's actually the trigger, right? Where that energetic signature stayed within your body. And so I marry the two, where we talk about emotional things that are coming up, and in comparison to the physical things that are coming up, because there are trends, right, where emotional density lodges in certain parts of the body depending on the certain emotion associated with it. For example, the lungs is grief. So if someone's having difficulty like breathing and those type of things, I'll go into questioning and asking them along the lines of who have you lost in your life? What have you lost in your life? Do you feel this? And I can kind of, work my way around to figure out the exact energetic signature so that I can walk them through the exact process they need to release that and to forgive it. And it's pretty fun and beautiful because every experience is different, that's for sure. Everybody is different, you know what I mean, and has different things, small and big. And I think the most important thing about what I do is my goal is to empower people to heal themselves in the same way that I did. So you don't need to have 700 sessions with me. You can have one, and that just gives you the template, right, for going back into your own heart space and walking through this process yourself. So if you want to go into even deeper healing that you don't even want to share with anybody else, you don't need somebody else to facilitate that for you. You can do it yourself. And that's what we're all called here to do, right, is to heal ourselves and learn the mechanisms that work with our energy. So, yeah.
But a lot of times we need people like you to hold our hands, to walk us through, because we just don't feel that we're prepared to do it alone, and just that you holding that space for that person and bringing in that source energy to help heal, this is just like, it just, it adds so much. It quickens the process.
Yeah, because for me, sorry.
No, go ahead.
For me, I reached out to different people, including I had a session with Teresa, I had a session with Rhonda and several other people. So I definitely agree. Asking for help is one of the very first steps. And then having another soul there to witness it with you almost validates the experience even more.
Yes.
One other thing that I forgot to mention that I love doing is tapping and EFT, because that is something that not only has massive spiritual components to it, it's a physical, scientific manifestation of how energy can be redirected in your body and even change the nature of the fight or flight syndrome, which I think the majority of Americans deal with just because of the lifestyle that we're taught to live, which is the go, go, go. But it's tapping is also really, really a good way to go through the process. And so I package out what I do into like regression or Reiki or EFT, but a lot of times when I get with a client, we do all three in a session.
Yeah.
Because
it's kind of hard to leave the Reiki behind, and no matter what you do.
Yes, exactly.
You can't leave it. It's there.
Reiki comes in no matter what. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's great.
One thing that came to me earlier when you were talking about the statistics, as far as children or even just people in general having their physical or sexual boundaries crossed, is there are a lot of statistics with women, and there is this beautiful uprising of the divine feminine going on right now, and we're being empowered to step into our truth and to set boundaries. I'm really adamant about that, not discounting the divine masculine, because I genuinely believe that the statistics for men is just as high. It just hasn't been reported. And if anything, it's been going on just as long, if not longer, as we all know, and not to like point fingers at a certain like type of church or whatever, but we all know that little boys have been just as victimized as little girls. And so when you can look at it of the perspective of the little boys that were hurt as children are hurting the little girls, and then they're hurting the little boys, and then they're hurting the little girls, right? And not necessarily in the sense of we're all molesting each other. But what I'm saying is, like, when someone goes through something traumatic as a child, and they don't know how to deal with it, they can then, push that on to the next person. Like I was saying, children are hurting children. So for men, even if they haven't been molested, let's say, I see a lot in some of my clients that what men have been told is that they're not allowed to cry. They're not allowed to have emotions. They're not allowed to have feelings. They're not allowed to say that they were hurt by somebody. They're told they have to be strong, and they aren't allowed to have the experiences that they came here to experience. And I think that is a lot of the key catalyst for the issues that men are dealing with in this same right. And that we should all give each other the space for healing in all of these different aspects. I feel like if men were able to deal with their emotions, they wouldn't be victimizing women as much. And vice versa, us moms wouldn't be victimizing our sons and telling them they're not allowed to cry if we hadn't been hurt. And so it's just this, like, I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, because I'm really adamant about it being an equal thing and an equal stance.
Exactly.
Because
And not
we want to be
disempowering
whole.
either.
We need the male and the female to be whole, to be a whole
Yes.
society. We need them to be healed and whole. Otherwise, it's like, again,
Yes.
we need to have that balance. Yeah.
So empowering is not about just taking away power from the other.
Right.
It's about bringing the power for both and giving it to both on either end of the spectrum. So I just wanted to bring that up, because that's something that I think some people get misconstrued with this Me Too movement and all that stuff.
Yeah, they think that because we're coming forward that we're pointing fingers at everybody, but no, we're telling our stories so everyone, because everybody wants their children to be safe, their boys, their girls. They want them to be safe and be heard. And empowering them is, poor Teresa, she keeps dropping out. She's got a terrible thunderstorm. She's like, oh, another thunderstorm. Yeah, we want to raise a healthy society, and this is what we have to heal ourselves to do that. And and you have a meditation for us to help that.
Yes,
So
I
excited
do. Okay, let's dive right into our meditation so we can get as much time as we can with it. So, I want everybody to just get comfortable in a seated position if possible, maybe even laying down. Start taking a few deep breaths, breathing in full oxygen all the way into that column of light to the base of your spine, because we want that oxygen to reach every cell in our body. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at ourselves from the perspective of Source, from our Creator, as a parent looks at their child. I want you to breathe in kindliness to yourself, forgiveness for being imperfect. Breathe in empathy to yourself. Just like a baby who cannot process emotions, there are parts of me who resist negative experiences and cling to positive experiences. I'm going to breathe in kindliness to myself and breathe out kindliness. giving myself the space to be forgiven and to forgive. And I want you to imagine this energy as this pink bubble that's kind of expanding around your body and circulating. Wrapping yourself in this unconditional love. And while you're sitting here, perhaps you want to share this love, this empathy, this kindness, this non-judgment. Let's bring in a loved one. Maybe your parents or your kids, somebody that you care about. And breathe with this person in your circle, holding this space together. Breathing in kindliness, empathy, forgiveness. And breathing out kindliness, empathy, and forgiveness. Circulating this energy in between you and this other person. Knowing that just like you, this person clings to positive experiences and resists negative ones. Breathing in kindliness, breathing out kindliness. Sharing this space with this loved one. Knowing you are both worthy of unconditional love and forgiveness, despite being imperfect. Offering non-judgment, leaving non-judgment. And as you hold this space with your loved ones, let's expand it out to people outside this circle, acquaintances, people that you may not necessarily love, people that maybe you don't necessarily fully trust, and you may have had a sense of judgment toward them. I want you to look at them in the same way as their inner child. They cling to positive experiences and resist negative ones. Breathing in kindliness, forgiveness, empathy, non-judgment. Breathing out kindliness, forgiveness, empathy. Sending it to this entire group and receiving it back trifold as this energy expands exponentially, growing in power. As we're each looking at each other as the true divine beings that we are, here to heal and to overcome. And why not keep this just to ourselves and to our bubble? Let's go ahead and invite people in that we may not even be aware of, we don't even know. Someone on the other side of the earth, perhaps. And just like you, everyone on this earth clings to positive experiences and resists negative ones. Breathing in kindliness, forgiveness, non-judgment, empathy. Breathing out kindliness, forgiveness, non-judgment, and empathy. Offering that to the whole world and receiving it back. Noticing that we are all no different from each other. One collective, wanting and striving for more positivity in their life. Worthy of unconditional love, forgiveness. So together, let's just wrap whole energy up, seal it up, and seal it up around the world, around Gaia and this earth, anchoring it in through the crystalline core where we're all connected, each of us being a conduit of energy. Allowing this feeling to carry with us for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week. Changing our perspective on mankind as a whole. Looking at the eyes of man through Source with unconditional love. So as we come back in, I want you guys just to bring your awareness back into yourself. Let's give thanks and gratitude for this space, for the ability to tap into this at any time, for each other, for showing up today. Thank you all so much for sharing this with me.
Thank you.
Try not to go too long. I know we
No,
were.
that was so perfect. So
How are you guys
powerful.
feeling?
That was so good.
I think let's everybody want to check in and let us know how this made you feel. And
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
waiting
think
for
the
some
toroidal
comment.
field, with
Yeah.
the group of people and the toroidal field going up around the planet and coming
Yeah.
back in and
coming
just
back
filling-
down.
Yeah, and then it was just
Yeah.
this bright, brilliant pink and beautiful gold specks and so
Yes,
powerful. Yeah.
the gold. I always see the gold too. I love that. It's interesting because I see it go from like an electric white figure eight kind of energy when I pull in that crystalline energy, and then when that love kind of trickles in, it turns into this beautiful champagne gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Nice.
that.
Lovely. Lovely.
Oh, I definitely needed that today, so thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, you're
For sure.
most welcome.
Thank you so much. Teresa says her storm keeps flicking her off, so she wants to send love and to everybody. She just can't stay. She can't. She tried really hard. She's been fretting about it since 10 this morning. So yeah.
Mhm. She was
That
here.
was
She was
awesome.
here in spirit.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Lots of love coming back. Paul says that was awesomeness. Shade ting tear tear.
Thanks, Boxster.
Yeah, that's Boxer, yeah. Karath says hugs to all with light and love. Amazing vibrations of energy. Oh, that's
Thank you,
great.
Kira.
Yeah. Hello, Janelle. Janelle, what are you doing up? So
Oh, Janelle! Yay!
said-
Past her
I'm more
bedtime.
honored.
it was the Me Too movement was designed by the cabal to further the separation of sexes, but I don't think that happened. I think
No.
the
We're not
opposite
letting it.
happened because
We are
we
smarter
got
than
too
that.
much light into it. We put too
Right.
much light into it.
We just rewrote that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we rewrote, delete that little thing. So, Carla Dubé is saying thank you. Lynn Marie's sending hearts and peacocks and lots of swirly energy. I love reading
That's
emojis. That's my third language now.
Back to reading
Emojis and
hieroglyphics. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Back to hieroglyphics, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on with us today.
Thank
Our
you for
little light.
having me.
Our little elf and fairy light there. You're just lovely.
Oh, you are.
I love y'all
So
so much.
sparkly.
Yeah, so sparkly.
Oh, y'all are so sweet. Mwah, I love
Next,
you
you've
guys
got
so
some.
much.
For you. Yeah, I've got announcements. I just want to say thank you to Krista for
Yeah,
hanging
and
out.
Krista, people can reach out to you, just private message you
Yes.
through your Facebook page
Yes.
and
watch her show.
And watch her show. Yep.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Synchronista, it is on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, and it is an amazing show that gives you more awareness of how the universe and how spirit really shows up for you every day. So when you can start to notice those, you can really start to play with it, and it's so much fun. And I'm so honored that you show up for us every week and do that for us because it's such a beautiful connection to have. So thank you for that. Thank you for being the way shower of synchronicity. So for our announcements, we have the winner of this week's Share It Out, who shared out last week's episode the most and won a Healing Through Your Records session with Rhonda Elliott. So congratulations, it's Kirath Mahar. So Rhonda will be contacting you to set up your session. And thank you so much for being a supporter of the show. We are so appreciative of every single one of you who joins us each week, the new ones that come in. We're honored to hold the space with you and be a part of this. This is just such an amazing experience for all of us to connect every week and just show off our guests, do amazing, uplifting, things, and we grow. Rhonda and Teresa and I grow every week. We have amazing experiences. So it's a blessing. We love being able to be here. If you share out this week's episode, you will win a mini reading with me. So share out the most, and we will announce that next week. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific is the Cosmic Ascension Report with Janelle Cameron, where she will discuss the energies, what's going on right now in the universe that is causing you to maybe feel a little off, or if you notice you're having, like this past week, I swear we were having an emotional surge of clearing and density and just having to, really face some shit that we haven't faced yet. I feel like that's been coming up a lot this week for me personally, so I know that I'm seeing a lot of people talking about it too. Janelle's the one to go to. She will tell us what is going on and what's coming in this next week. Tomorrow, Monday, which is tomorrow, at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, is Beauty at the Heart with Sarah Lillian, and is she going to be on next week? Is that right, Rhonda? Okay, yes, so she'll be our guest next week, so make sure you come and hang out with us for that. And then tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific is Nourishing Your Multidimensional Body with Kathy Holmeyer. And then tomorrow night, Monday is full now. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific is Let's Tap with Suzanne Gunderson. So there's a full day of shows tomorrow. We have new shows every day of the week now. And there's also the Akashic magazine, which is free, which Rhonda is so lovingly showing off for us, our Vanna White of the Akashic magazine. Rhonda, do you want to show them how cool it looks?
Oh yeah, there we go.
There it is. That's our recent Akashic magazine.
It's beautiful. I mean, you don't have to waste your Works printer ink, but I
likes to print it out.
I love looking at the pretty pictures. So, and also it has a great on the back. It tells when all our shows are too. So it's full of content, full of art, full of stories, full of really interesting thing. The rise of the light worker. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a beautifully structured, beautiful content magazine. So.
Yes.
And it's free. It's free. Free.
It is free. So if you go to www.theakashicacademy.com, you'll find the link to download the magazine there, and it's always free. And I think you can also get the past editions available on there as well. So if you just want to dive in and read all the articles, or take it one day at a time and just read one article at a time, it's a great way to expand and connect and it's better than the crap they put out there on the shelves, I'll tell you that. So, we're trying to uplift everybody a little bit at a time any way we can, right? And if you want to dive deeper with us, there is the insider group, the subscription group for the Akashic Academy, and that is $44.44 a month. And with that, you get powerful, amazing weekly intuitive classes with Emily Harrison, which have been life-changing for me personally. I know that I've expanded my intuition in ways that I didn't think possible. So I definitely highly recommend that if you're ready to really go and just dive in and experience as much as possible and just be open. It's all about being open, right? So there's also the Mindful Mondays with Coach Nick, where he brings in more mindfulness. There's the new moon and full moon ceremonies. And I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think so. So come back next week, same time, same channel, same Batcave. And if you missed this, or you weren't able, if say you were driving and you were listening, you can go back and listen to the replay, which will be tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. But you can go into the video section and replay any of our shows, or you can visit our YouTube channel, which is Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light, and subscribe, like. It really helps our YouTube channel. They let us do more things if we get more subscribers. So please go in and just subscribe. You won't be inundated with all sorts of things. So just go in. You can replay this over and over again, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you again, Chrysta. We'll see you next Saturday.
Have a blessed week.
Love y'all.
Love you.
Bye.
I have to get the right ones to say goodbye on here. Sorry. Yeah. Goodbye.